Now, bringing you the very best in New Hampshire-based local music on IPMNation.com and 100.1 The Planet, this is Local Outbreak. Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. Matt Connerton from IPMNation.com here with you, bringing you another great week of New Hampshire-based music. This week we have on the show singer-songwriter Faith Ann, who sometimes performs as a solo artist, but she also has the Faith Ann Band, and we have played her music on the show before, but this is the first time that we've been able to sit down for an interview, and we get into quite a bit of stuff, but we did have a couple of months ago on the show, and I love saying his full name, Alfredo Enrique Benavides, known to his friends and people in the scene simply as Fredo, a very talented musician who actually plays in the Faith Ann Band with Faith Ann, and also plays in a band called Dank Sinatra, whom we've also featured on the show. So we've had Fredo on the show before, but it's great to finally get Faith Ann on the show. And we're going to open up this week with a track that we have played on the program before called Tumbleweed. Really great track from the Faith Ann Band. And then from there, we'll get right into our interview. So here it is to open up this week's Local Outbreak. This is Tumbleweed from the Faith Ann Band.
Stadium
Faith Ann of the Faith Ann Band is here, or at least that's how I know you. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing all right. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the show. I didn't know until today, actually, just a little bit before the show, that you were going to be available to come on. John Hopwood let me know that you were going on his television program, and he sent me a news article, and I said, wait a minute, I know who this is.
Yeah.
So I've actually, that song, Tumbleweed, that I've played that on the show before, and I remember listening to you. You've been on Granite State of Mind with Rob a couple of times, I think, right? Yep. So you're obviously familiar with the place. Now, are you so in the band? Are you doing a lot of shows currently? Are you playing out a lot?
So we just had to get a new drummer and then a new lead guitarist. So we had been keeping up with all of the gigs that we had, and now we're pretty much at a spot where we can start looking for more shows and booking more than what we already have. But August, on the website, there's 3 solo and 3 full band, and then we got September, some solo and full band, and so we're definitely busy. We've got some festivals that we're playing. Well, we got a festival at the end of this year, or at the end of this month, sorry, and then we're playing at Holman Stadium in Nashua on August 20th, which is pretty cool. Never played a stadium before.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, good for you. Awesome. Have you toured outside of this area?
Yeah, only solo though, not with the full band. I've been to Tennessee. Senny Hunt let me crash at his place.
Oh, okay.
And set me up with a couple gigs down there, and then I went out to Arizona and got a couple gigs in like Bisbee, and then kind of did some open mics in Tucson and made some connections and that type of thing. And Maine is where we're playing the festival. So the New England area definitely, and want to start branching out bigger now that we got a lineup again.
Yeah, very cool. How long has Fredo played with you?
Like 2 years, pretty much the whole time that the Faith Ann Band's been around. Are we on 2 years or maybe 2.5? Yeah.
I know time slips away.
Yeah, he's the longest standing member besides me.
Right. Yeah, we had I love saying his full name, or at least how it shows up on Facebook, Alfredo Enrique Benavides on the show, and he told me, what was it that he was telling me when he was on? You're building something, or by now it might be done. I can't remember what it.
My bus.
Your bus. Yeah, I said you were building a bus.
Yeah, it's like almost done. I have put a lot of work into that freaking thing, and so have a lot of my friends, and I've learned how to do a lot of things, and gone through a lot of tools breaking and hardware breaking. They pretty much like know me at Home Depot and the Harbor Freight store. Go there all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wow. So it's close to done.
Yeah, it just needs I need to finish putting the ceiling fabric on. I got it painted. That's where I'm at. Like I'm just about done. And then I'm just gonna be decorating it. And I've already been using it to travel. I went to Georgia with it, and we've gone to some festivals in Mass, and use it for like during the day. Like it's been useful right now, like with this whole drama that's going on with me, because whether or not I'm allowed to have my kids at my house, I have a bus that is the house essentially. So
there you go.
Kind of can use that, and that seems to work nice. But I was hoping to, use it for vacations this year and stuff. But next year. Well, the summer's not over, I suppose. So.
Fredo's in the Facebook live chat. He says we're playing at the Shaskeen this Friday.
That's true. That's right. And so the Shaskeen will be full band. Dank Sinatra and Wired for Sound will also be joining us.
Good.
And then Sunday I'll be playing the Kingston Days, which is all weekend, and our new guitarist is in a band called Heavyfoot, and they'll be playing also on Saturday, and the new guitarist also plays saxophone, so that adds like a cool new dimension to the band. So we sound a little different now, and the drummer's different, and
that's cool. Do you when you do the solo shows, what is it, just you and a guitar, and you just do you do a lot of the same songs? I would assume the songs probably translate pretty well to just stripped down versions where it's just you and the guitar, right?
Yeah, most of them. Usually my solo sets are like 3 hours or 2 hours, so I play more covers in my solo sets just to fill time, and without the whole band, it's just a nice way to get more participation easier if someone knows the song.
Oh, yeah.
And I like picking songs that people don't expect to be played. Like I'll play some Black Sabbath and I'll play some Danzig. Yeah? And
nice.
People are always surprised. I just started learning my favorite Pink Floyd song, and I like playing that one. That one's fun.
Yeah, that's cool. When you have the full band, do you do any covers or do you stick to originals?
We'll do some covers, but I try to stick to originals. But we've been learning some covers, to fill the time, because having a band that can play for 2-3 hours is profitable and good. And we're writing new stuff. So we've got like 2 new songs and then a 3rd and 4th on the way. So we're getting the creative juices flowing again, which is nice because it's boring when you have to keep teaching new people the same things and you're like, okay, I'm sick of just doing it. I want to write more stuff now.
Right. Gonzo is here, by the way. Hi, Gonzo.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. I'm on Team Faith here.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah.
Show my support.
Yes, absolutely. So now you said, the band, the Faith and band has only existed as an entity for 2 or 3 years, you said?
Yeah.
So before that, were you just doing a solo thing or were you in another band? Or
I was doing a solo thing for a little bit before I realized I wanted a band to support the solo thing. And then right before that, I was in a band where I played bass and I sang called Ozium. And they have put themselves back together and they have a male singer now, and I think they're booking shows again too, so that's cool. So it's kind of funny seeing Ozium back in my news feed because like I did all the media stuff when I was in it, and they're using the same like logo and stuff. So I'm like, oh whoa, it's like weird seeing this in my feed again. It's been like 2 years.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. Now you were in the news, not under the name Faith Ann, but I forget I assume your real last name in the article that John Hopwood sent me. But and also we have a mutual friend, Gracie Gatto, who had emailed about this. But do you want to just kind of explain what's? I'm kind of just learning about this myself. But I know that you've had, and you alluded to it earlier. You said regarding custody of your kids.
Yeah, it's got some drama going on. So the whole reason I met Gracie and stuff is because I was outside of the court protesting a judge who made a ruling on an ex parte without any factual evidence, and the accusations are ridiculous, like that I'm abusing my son, that I'm blowing smoke in his face and laughing when he tells me to stop, that I practice with my band super late at night and I make my kids wear industrial headphones so that they don't have to hear it. The accusations now are that I brought when I brought my daughter her school books at the end of the year to return, because into school, I brought her some Sour Patch Kids. These 2 new flavors I hadn't seen. I know she likes the watermelon Sour Patch Kids, and she's been having a hard time, with all this stuff. So I was like, I'm just gonna bring her some candy, and I brought her a vitamin water and then like a healthy snack. It's like here's the healthy, but like I know. When I'm sad, I brought myself some candy because I've been like, when I'm sad, I want chocolate and I want candy. So I'm like, oh, I want to give this to Araya and she can share with her friends, and whatever. And so they're trying to say that I had drugs in the Sour Patch and that I literally brought drugs to my daughter's school and that I'm giving my daughter drugs and that I'm like doing drugs with my daughter. And obviously, these are all false and they are not founded. There's no proof supporting any of these. They're trying, my son has had behavior issues since he was a toddler. Like when he was at preschool at the Y, he's been having all these behavior issues, and it's been very difficult managing because my ex and I cannot co-parent. There is no working together. You mentioned Fredo. I've seen Fredo bend over backwards to help out his co-parent as he refers to her. He doesn't call her his ex-wife or, my baby mama. He says my co-parent, and I see him treat her respectfully, and I see how they work together on matters of their daughter. And regardless of anything about parenting preferences, that is a big thing that I notice. Him and his co-parent their daughter. And the fact that he and I do not co-parent is mostly harmful. I mean, it's harmful to both children. It's harmful to him and I. Yeah. It's harmful to everyone that's involved in the situation, or my daughter and her friends and stuff. And but when I'm asking for help continuously and things are being turned around, I'm asking like, hey, can you please pick up the kids? I have a show the other way. Like, how come I always drop them off to you? When it gets turned into, well, you have time. All you do is play music in the streets and screw yourself. There's never a constructive conversation. And his girlfriend has been spiteful towards me the whole time, showing up at my house to try to like stalk me. She showed up at my house, took a picture of my car in the driveway. Mind you, I have the bus and I have a motorcycle, and my daughter loves riding on the motorcycle. My son likes riding on the motorcycle. So when I picked up my daughter for my parenting time, which went from primary guardian, we had almost split, but they live with me primarily. To now I get 8 hours a week because there's no proof for any of this, but now I get 8 hours a week and I can't have them into my home. They're accusing me of having drugs in my home, bringing up some drug uses from when I was a teenager, but, neglecting all of the assault charges and his child negligence charge, but that was, never mind that. Let's talk about when her Faith was 16, things she did when she was 15 and 16 and stuff like that.
So just so I'm clear, so these accusations, these are all are these coming from him?
Yeah. And so it's hearsay. So DCYF comes, and I've been dealing with these because they try to tell me they've been making up stuff about me. They called DCYF on me because my son saw my ex-boyfriend peeing in the backyard. And I was going through my son's toys one day, and I accidentally whacked him with a toy that I was throwing. I didn't even see him. I wasn't that got DCYF called. And one time, it was Mother's Day and my kids made me breakfast in bed and I was playing with my son, and like in the cartoons when you kiss someone and then you pull away and it like pulls their skin for a second. I was laughing. I was so happy with my kids. Such a beautiful thing. And accidentally left like a tiny hickey on his cheek. Called DCYF on that. I got DCYF saying, what's up with your kisses? I get DCYF called because I'm vegan and like, oh, you're showing your kids pictures of slaughterhouses and all this stuff. It's like, I can't do anything right. And like my son has these behavior issues, so I'm taking his toys from him when he gets in trouble for violence. He's not, I ask him, can we please not let our son play violent killing video games when he's getting in trouble for violence? Well, you can't control what happens here. And, my son just got expelled again from the daycare he's at there. And like my ex is having his family pick them up from school, having the family bring them to their works. He's bringing them to his work. But when my son was having all these issues and I'm asking for help because I'm a teacher and I have to be there for the bell to ring, and he's suspended from before school care and he can't be bothered all of a sudden, and all through COVID, he got COVID and then he was scared about COVID and then my kids got COVID. He wasn't there to support through any of that. He went through like 3 months without taking them. My son starts lashing out, starting fires in his room, throwing things out his window. So I take the door off my son's room to help. I'm at my wit's end. This little boy is a menace, and I don't have the support of his father. He's turning 11.
11, okay.
And so, the message that's happening at his father's house is like, well, your mom does X, Y, Z, so she doesn't, you don't have to listen to her, and she's a monster for all the stuff that you're doing. So that's what they're painting in this thing. The bullying, my son got in trouble for bullying, and then he's, aggressive towards my daughter. And watching my daughter and my son is very much like watching me living with my ex.
Yeah.
And it's like, my ex and I came to an agreement, okay, can Zeke please stay with you for, a little bit more than what's in the parenting time so that my daughter can have time away from him. We can start mending these relationships and be doing this work together. And if we were able to co-parent, that would have been a beautiful thing. We had talked and discussed, let Zeke stay there, during the day or whatever. And, and then, when school was in session, my daughter's like, I really want to be picked up on the motorcycle. And, you can't do that. Your parenting time is or whatever. But he's scrambling to find rides for them when I've had full-time jobs. I've had careers. It's not a matter of I am unable to or anything like that. It's because my son is expelled, and I'm scrambling to call in favors. And luckily I have a great support system in Manchester, but I can't count the number of times I've called up a neighbor like, hey, can you please help me with a ride? I have to be at work. Can you please bring my son here? Their father's not helpful. And it's like, I'm being painted as such a bad person. And like I said, I've had careers. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I was a high school math teacher.
I was going to say, to build a bus, you've got to have some education behind it.
I own my own home. I'm pretty intelligent. For someone having put me down for a while and now, I'm meeting more people. I'm like, actually, I'm probably one of the most useful people I know. I'm a good person and stuff like that. And then just to be gaslit into being told I'm a monster and I'm selfish and I don't think of the kids and all this stuff. And it's pretty sure when I had my daughter at 17 and rearranged my entire life to be a mom, that was something I did because my daughter didn't ask to be born, And now here I am with this beautiful, the most precious life you've ever seen. And whatever wrong I've done or like mistakes I've made, I need to hold myself to a standard for this little perfect being, like she didn't ask to have me as a mom. So I very much hold myself to a very high standard. And unfortunately, I don't have a standard, not unfortunately, unfortunately in the situation because it's being used against me, but I don't have a standard quote unquote life that people are used to. I don't have a 9 to 5. I don't have to put in for sick time. I don't whenever, but you know what that means? That means I get to sleep in with my kids. That means we get to have breakfast together. That means we get to watch a movie late at night. That means we get to, on a whim in the middle of the week when no one's at the lake, go spend the day at the lake and we don't have anyone in our way. That means we can go to these, do these fun things and there's no one there. And it means it means he's not getting, my son requires a lot of attention, and if he's not getting the attention and he's not being guided to make right choices, the choices he'll make for himself are not always the ones that you'd want him to choose. And so when he's in a daycare, there's no way you can have a classroom or a daycare room of 30 children, and watch every single one of them like a hawk. Like as soon as my son starts getting poked, he starts acting up, and it's if you don't catch that poking and you don't catch him when he's in that sane mind, there's all these problems. And so he was having a lot of trouble at his elementary school, the public elementary school he was going to. Yeah. And it got to a point the principal suspended him for having a pomegranate because those people were so sick of my son. And I,
for having a, wait, what do you mean?
A pomegranate.
Yeah, a pomegranate because he brought it into the bathroom and made a disaster of it one day. And the lawyer, the principal was like, if you bring anything else, you're done, kid, and my son's like a kid. And so, it gets to a point where it's like, my son keeps getting in trouble and it's like, oh, it's funny. He got in trouble for messing with this kid, but where was everyone when that started? When it was when you could have stopped it before it happened. And then they're all sitting at you like, duh. And then when it feels like I'm the only one advocating for my son, yes, my son is difficult, but that doesn't mean that we can't help him, he just so I had him, we left that public school because those teachers were not working with me, and it was just ridiculous. And it's like, why do you keep suspending my son? He needs some sort of rigidity where he can. Okay, this day every day I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna do this thing. And when you keep removing him, his education, if he's self-conscious about not reading well.
Okay.
And so homework, when COVID happened, you had a nightmare. He was lashing out because of homework. He's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
All these temper problems. And I understand. It sucks to feel, I would never call him dumb, but it sucks. He calls himself dumb. It sucks to feel that way. It sucks when you it's not a matter of, he can't make sense of, well, how come this word is spelled like this? And why did these words, and then you're mad at what? You're mad at the letters? You're mad at me.
Right.
And I'm not I'm not doing anything. It's the language.
Yeah.
So, and you try to help him through that and he's freaking out. But when he comes to school, he would rather, he doesn't want the attention on him for having trouble with reading. He doesn't want to have, when you had the kid in class that couldn't read that well, you're like, oh, great. Can we just get through this paragraph?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's where my son is at. And instead of having to sit through that, he'd rather make the attention about anything, make an inappropriate joke or anything. And so he's playing these.
That. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's playing these adults. He's getting what he's wanting, what he wants. And now, his education is slacking. And I've been fighting with these teachers, please. So,
man, I think what happens in closed doors, parenting, if everybody was under a microscope for every move they made as a parent, they would always get in trouble. Something would happen where they don't want other people to know,
right?
Because it's an individualized way of parenting that individual,
right?
Which requires that style. There's people who hit their kids. She doesn't do that. There's people who do all kinds of things. But if you took a microscope and you focus it on one person, and everything you do is being analyzed and evaluated, you're gonna come across something that the narrative would be that, oh well, I wouldn't do that,
right?
So it's hard to
nobody's perfect at parenting.
No one's perfect. And sometimes it takes out of the box thinking to handle an aggressive child, So for someone to come down and call DC whatever
DCYF,
yeah. on every little move.
Yeah.
Well, I bet that person who called it did something in their life that could easily be reportable as well.
Right.
I mean, we all
Right.
we're
And
all err.
it's upsetting. Like, we
Yeah.
all know that parenting is hard, and we all know those truths about parenting. So what should be happening is, hey, I understand, like, you're struggling. Like, how can I support you? You know?
Yeah.
Like, where is that support that comes from? I know that you've just spent the past 3 hours having your son scream at the top of at his lungs because he doesn't want to do his homework, and he's threatening. My son's making threats that he must be here, and I want to live with daddy, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, when you're at your wit's end, you're like, well, maybe.
Because I wonder how he handles your son. I bet it ain't.
Right.
I bet it ain't Mother Teresa.
Right.
I bet he gets frustrated, and I bet he
Of
does some
course.
things and says some things
And
that
that's
he's
not
probably
to shame
ashamed of.
him either. And I don't want to shame. Parents shouldn't be shamed. There's obviously a cry for help that is really what's coming through. And, you see the kid in the grocery store having a fit, and, you just look at the parents, and you're just like,
Yeah, they
I
don't
wish
know
I could
what's
help
going-
you,
Do you ever see you two figuring this out and becoming co-parents? Because these kids are young enough
I know.
where it could benefit them.
Well, I'll put this out
just-
on here. Like, if you know a good
Like, were
co-parent,
you
want to
wi-
reach out to me.
But are
that'd be
you
great.
willing to like work it out with him?
Yeah, and I mean,
Put it all behind you and just start from scratch?
I mean, I want what's best for my kids, and
Right.
there's a lot of hurt, and I'm sure he would tell you that he's got hurt, because no one acts like this when they're happy. No one's out
Right.
to get somebody. And I know, I'm part of that thing that I wanted with the court, and I was like, can you order that we have to have co-parenting? And, everyone's got a wait list and there's all this stuff. But, I mean, I'm putting the work in. I'm trying to see where my ego is bruised and where I have any kind of anything, and how I can let go of it.
If you're willing to put it and let
Yeah.
it go, and he's willing to let it go, hey, you guys made a kid, you have them, and you have a daughter, and they're not even close to 18 yet. So let's, Ian, these are the years where things can go left.
You're tuned in to Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. And now here is more of Gonzo and I talking with Faith Ann of the Faith Ann Band.
My children need good support, and it sucks. Like, I say that to my ex, and I'm like, they need a support system. And then he's like, well, they don't need someone that takes their clothes off and all this stuff. And he's like trying to paint a bad picture on his bias. But his bias is like, he has a print company, and he's a skateboarder in a skate company, and he's like giving my daughter a hard time because she pierced her nose,
Yeah.
And people with nose piercings, he starts like body shaming that, just like what
Really?
terrible. Yeah, and it's like, bro, you are a skateboarder. And then I tell him, like, if your clients saw the things that you said to me, you would not be okay with it. The way he's like demonizing marijuana usage, and I admitted to using it in states that it's legal. We're literally the only state in this area that it's not legal.
I know,
I
yeah.
play music in these states. It's like no different than alcohol. If like even the judge in our last hearing was like, not to be facetious or whatever, but like DCYF has a lot larger fish to fry. That's why they're taking their time on this like marijuana thing. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're saying that, but you also took my kids. So, like, can we just realize that, yeah, maybe you're not trying to offend us by saying this isn't a big deal, but, like, this isn't a big deal, for one. Like, I'm not in and out of jail. I'm not in and out of rehab.
Right.
I'm not, like, I have a home, a beautiful home that I've worked really hard to get. And, like, all my engineering years and, like, leading up to being a minimalist, like, saving to be a teacher to make to make less money.
Yeah.
Preparing myself to need very little and live a life that my needs are few, so my needs are easily met, and I'm happy and I'm content, and I can show my children they don't need things. They go to his house and like they get new shoes and they get new jackets, and it's like, I go to Savers. I'm not going to pretend like I'm going to spend all this money on my children that they're going to grow out of it, or my son that just Mr. Destroys everything. Like, he's going to like drag his feet through the things and whatever, and it's like, I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to do that, but I don't want to be demonized because I'm living a simple life, and like, they're trying to paint this nasty picture of me because I just like play music in the streets. But like, who cares? I like playing music in the streets. It's a lot of fun. I've played right out here before.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah, right in front of the Feskin.
Seems like he's got an axe to grind against you.
Right, but it's the same. It's his people. Like, his people are in, like, we're friends with people in the music scene. We're like, his parents own restaurants that hire live music.
Yeah.
But his parents were there in the courthouse when they're trying to tell me I'm bringing my daughter drug gummies to school.
And those can be misidentified, and the packaging is uncanny. It's crazy that they would actually make packaging that looks identical. Like
wait, Sour Patch makes those? Oh, wait, the
nerd ropes.
Yeah.
They look just like nerd ropes.
The Wonka bars and stuff, but it says on it.
Right.
And why would I literally bring it to a school?
Yeah.
Like, how dumb do you have to be to bring your children drugs at their public school?
Right.
Like, that's just next level stupid.
Now, what is the thing I saw? So you spent a day at the Nashua court. What?
So when that ex parte was filed, and they're trying to say all the lies that I abuse my children, that I have drugs in the house, that I'm keeping all the blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
I present all these facts, none of this is true. Like, I have proof that says otherwise, like, I don't keep them up. My whole band could tell you that I end, and, I got to check on the kids, and I got to, very adamant about that. Judge still made a hearing. They tried to say, like, my boyfriend lives with me and stuff, but then magically when the ex shows up at my house, because I picked up my daughter in the bus, and she's like, Mom, I really want to go on a motorcycle ride. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll drop you off, up the neighborhood. We've got a very nice neighborhood that we live in. Great neighbors, all very supportive. Everyone has known us since we moved in around like 5 years ago.
That's good.
And they're all like, where are your kids and stuff? And, they know what's going on. So I'm like, can I just drop the kids off at your house real quick? They can't come to my house. So I drop her off in the neighborhood with up the road or whatever.
Yeah.
Go home, grab the motorcycle, FaceTime her. Hey, where are your pants? Blah, blah, blah. Grab her some pants, pick her up on the motorcycle. We spend the day on the motorcycle. It was a beautiful day. We go to my boyfriend's house, who doesn't live with me.
Yeah.
We watch a movie. And then they file another ex parte saying she brought her daughter to the house, so she can't be trusted not to have drugs in there because she already... And instead of the judge being... Oh, and then they're like, and she brought them to her boyfriend's house and stuff. Instead of the judge being like, oh, weird, I thought the boyfriend lived with her. He's like, oh, no, now they can't go to the boyfriend's house. And in that first ex parte, he's talking about, like, all these drugs he's trying to say I'm doing. And then in the court hearing, in front of the judge, admits that hasn't been a problem since I was a teenager. And let me clarify, when I was a teenager, I didn't have a problem. My best friend at the time was a stripper, and all my friends were way older than me, and they all had access to it, and I never, like, bought it or anything. It was just, like, there. I never had, like, a problem. I would never consider myself an addict.
Yeah.
But he's, like, trying to paint this negative thing, and then the judge is like, oh, weird, why'd you even put that in there? And even though the judge said, like, oh, weird, why'd you even put that in there, still made a ruling, like, take this girl's kids from her. Well, that I've been the primary thing. So all of that happening and me being like, what the heck? And I hire a lawyer. I make what I need, and I don't have excess funds, and I've been spending on... I have a loan that I had to, make some repairs. The side of my house, had some damage, and the porch was, like, falling apart and stuff. So I took out a loan before I left engineering world, preparing in case anything like that happened. But now all of that is exhausted because I have lawyer fees and stuff that I would gladly be spending. So I'm sitting out front of the court as a protest to, like, dude, why doesn't my family matter to you guys? All my family is a docket number to you right now. And, like, we had a hearing on Monday, and DCYF was supposed to show up or at least provide something. They had 2 months to do it. They didn't. So the hearing gets pushed out. I called yesterday, called the day before, called today. Judge on record said he would get something in by the end of the day. That was Monday. We have no orders today. They haven't told DCYF that they want their papers. And so it's like my hands are tied. Like, I have nothing to do. And so it's like I've rearranged my whole life so that I can have my days with my children. I left engineering because I was depressed about paying someone to watch my children grow up. You're putting your children in daycare while you sit in an office, like wasting your life away, doing something you don't want to do. So I was like, you know what? Teaching was recommended to me, and I was like, oh, that'd be great. Like, I'd get summers with them. We'd get all the same vacations. We got all the same snow days off, so I wasn't, like, burning vacation time or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it was great having the summers with them, and I loved teaching so much before COVID. Like, it was, like, my dream job before, the boss, administration is freaking jerks, but, and I loved it so much. And then, like, when COVID happened, it just was impossible to teach other people's children while teaching my own children with behavior issues. And then Araya's getting neglected because my son's acting out and he needs all my attention, and Araya's acting out because she's being neglected, not neglected, but, like, she's not getting the same attention Zeke is because he's destructive.
Right.
And if I look away from him, who knows what's going to happen, and, like, they're butting heads, and it would be a lot easier if they worked together. And you're like, well, obviously she doesn't want to work with him because he's mean to her. He like aggressive, we're trying to work through that. And
Jeez Louise.
so like, that's where it's like, I rearranged my whole thing. My day is freed up for my kids. And if I don't have my kids, my time is still for those kids. So I just went to the court and I'm like, I'm either going to be sitting at my house sad and upset that this guy that's had it out for me and has been so mean to me for most of my life at this point, half of my life. I met him when I was 12 and he has just been relentless. Just like, he just has it out for me. And I just like cannot understand. Like he tells me, it's like, I'm disgusted with the life that you provide. And it's like, you have this image. He has this image of this life that I'm providing for my kids. And, my son's he's playing the adults right now. He's mad because he's getting his stuff taken from him at my house. Yeah. Because he's misbehaving. And there's no co-parenting to be like, no, listen to your mom. Like there's none of that. It's like, well, your mom is an animal. How could she dare? It's just God. It's turned into something like that. And it's like, no, I'm not an animal at all. I'm doing things like, wow, it just doesn't make any sense. And so, protesting outside of the court, I feel so helpless. And like, I didn't necessarily expect it to make the judge like come out and make a ruling on my court. Yeah. But I expected somebody to walk by me that had been in my position and that could help. Mm-hmm. Like, I've fallen into such a great music community and I met a lot of my music friends in open mics. And, at open mics, like I met Sunny at open mic and I met Fredo at open mic. And everyone realizes it takes balls to get on that stage and put yourself out there like that. And they recognize that. They remember when they were starting out, let me help you with a gig. You want to play blah, and so that's what I was looking for.
The music scene here is good that way.
Totally. And that's what I was looking for outside of the courthouse too. It's like people are going to see that maybe they think I have a day job and maybe they think I took all the time off. But like really what it is my day job is being there for my kids. And if I don't have my kids, I'm going to fight for having my kids. Like that's what my job is having my kids. And I think it's pretty smart of me to have been a single mom, 16 and pregnant, had my daughter when I was 17, still went to college for 4.5 years straight. Not just like any sort of college. I went to engineering school. Like that was hard. Like I was studying. I was at my work doing MATLAB when I went into labor with my son at wicked late at night.
Oh, no kidding.
Like I would spend all hours like trying to get that because I knew, that I wanted to be able to provide a life for my kids. I didn't want to have them struggling or wanting. And so, I kind of thought you had to be in this grind and you had to work your fingers to the bone and do all that stuff. And so I was going through the motions of like, okay, well, if I'm going to be a respectable mom, I have to do all these things. And then I did all these things and I'm realizing like, I'm unhappy. Yeah, I'm unhappy. I'm losing myself. I don't want my children to watch an adult grow. Yeah. So then I'm like, oh, I can, I can do this, whatever. And, I have I tutor this girl, not right now because we're in summer, but I tutor this girl once a week. I still go to Nashville and I love, teach. And her mom is also in the music scene, good friend of mine. And we support each other. And, COVID messed with her family too. And having her daughter be at home and getting a personalized tutor has been really good for her. I've watched this little girl learn so much. She's the same age as my daughter. So it's like kind of wild, but
Matt,
an example of parents working together.
It seems to me, and don't take this the wrong way, it seems to me there's a lot of petty things going on both sides.
Yeah.
It seems to me that you're not sitting down with this individual and saying what's best for these kids. It seems to me you're taking to Facebook to get your message out. He's got people tagging things and like saying things about you. And it seems to me like that you guys are doing everything but you're like avoiding this big meeting. And what I found is when you have that meeting and you walk away from it, it's not as bad as you think it would be. I bet you if you ran into each other and there was an opportunity to sit down at the food court and have some Arby's with horsey sauce.
You're a vegan,
oh yeah, you wouldn't have that.
Yeah, she wouldn't have
that. But you could have a side of talking.
Yes.
And
well done.
That's really good. I like that.
Well played, sir.
But it seems like he's going around doing his thing. You're going around because your Facebook. It seems to be like you take to that to kind of, you get frustrated.
Honestly, it is
so you're
a
like,
last
well,
resort.
he did this, and you got a screenshot on there, and it's just like some things that could probably, on both ends, maybe. Is there any way he would be listening right now?
I was wondering that myself, but let me make it clear that
would you be willing to have that? There's no restraining order. Oh man, if he called in,
that'd be funny. No, there's no restraining order.
So get that done.
I've been begging for it. I've been begging for it. I asked for co-parenting counseling. I'm always saying like, can we please talk? Can we please this? And then I get ignored.
He doesn't agree with your lifestyle.
Right.
Obviously, he's kind of like not an artsy type. Whether it's
painting,
he is
though. He does the graphic design.
Whether it's website work, whether it's whatever he's not agreeing with, is giving him the upper hand in his mind. He's above this.
Yeah.
So he could say whatever he wants, and he's right in his mind. So that's hurtful to you. So what he's doing is he's abusing you in a way,
right?
Because you're so timid that you can only reach out to Facebook through Facebook and all these. Now you're stuck out there, let's get a 2 months continuance. Well, no, bro, I don't have my kids for 2 more months now.
Yeah.
That might not mean anything to you, Judge Wapner.
Right. Curran.
But Curran.
Well,
I'm a mom, bro. And I'm out, and that should show something, Matt. Like, to get out there and show the balls to get out and protest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something most people wouldn't do.
True.
But
honestly, what I want from the Facebook.
Talk to this guy. If he would let you talk to him. I would love to broker that conversation.
That's what I want from. That's honestly what I'm hoping from Facebook is someone that knows both of us. Be like, yo, lay off Faith. Like, what do you have against Faith?
And lay off him too. Like both.
I would happily lay off. Right? No. The only reason I'm making a stick of this is because there are literal. Like, I hadn't even started being public until I was being told that I'm doing drugs with my kids and having DCYF at my house.
Anyone that's accused of something they didn't do, it sucks. We all have that chemical in our brain that we have to defend ourselves.
And people don't act this way in the they only act this way in the shadows. And I'm hoping by bringing light to what he's doing, he realizes, man, I should cut this out, is what my whole hopes are, know?
Yeah.
And if my ex was on OnlyFans, I would be more than proud because that means I was with a hottie. Am I wrong?
There you go. Faith, it is a quarter of. Do you need to? You don't want to get a parking ticket. So
band practice.
and band practice. So we'll cut you loose. But thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having
me. Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to come back anytime, and we'll talk more about the music, or if you have an update on what's going on now, we can connect on Facebook.
She's sang on the Hopwood special we did.
Yeah, John.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what John said too. Yeah, we'd love to have you come in, bring your guitar in sometime, and perform live for us on here.
Cool.
That would be wonderful. But you know what we'll do is I like this song Death Mask.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So what we'll do is
that's pertinent.
We'll play this, and as we let you skate, and then we'll come back. And Gonzo, are you going to stick around?
Yeah, we'll do a wrap up,
and then we'll come back and wrap up with Gonzo. But this is Death Mask from the Faith Ann Band, and Faith, thank you again.
Thank you.
Walk, seen him talk like a shadow in the dark, on the prowl for a little something sweet. Well, I met the devil, had him staring down the barrel of a gun, had him weak in the knees, begging, baby, honey, please. Should ran when you had the chance to run. It's a dangerous world to get lost in, and it's a dangerous world to be free. And it's a dangerous world to get lost in, but the dangerous one is me. I've come a long way, fists not for shaking, jaws not for breaking. Ain't as tall when you got 'em on their knees. And I got no trouble digging ditches in the middle of the night. It's a long dusty road and we came here alone, and I'm finally the one behind the knife. rage that's inside makes me feel I'm alive, and I say, there's a monster that's inside of me. And it's a dangerous world to get lost in. And it's a dangerous world to be free. And it's a dangerous world to get lost in. But the dangerous one here. But the dangerous one here. But the dangerous one here is me.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us on this week's Local Outbreak. I hope you enjoyed Gonzo and I talking with Faith Ann of the Faith Ann Band. Very talented musician and great band. I really like what she's doing, and it was also a very personal conversation as well. So we hope she's able to effectively deal with all that she's got going on. She's got a lot on her plate, but definitely want to see her succeed. And we're going to wrap up with one more track from Faith Ann Band, the newest release, which is all the music that we've been featuring tonight, called Long Last. And we're going to close out with one more track in a moment. But I do want to remind you, you can get access to the full archive of Local Outbreak, going back about 12 and a half years now. Believe it or not. IPMNation.com/Local Outbreak. Every single episode of the show is archived for you there for streaming and or download. So lots of great stuff there. For example, if you want to hear my recent interview with Fredo, who plays in the Faith Ann Band, as well as Dank Sinatra, you can go back and check that out. So everything is there for you, and we've also been adding them to the IPM Nation YouTube channel, kind of working backward on that. So more recent episodes of Local Outbreak are already on there, but we're gonna eventually have them all up there. Also, too, we've got, if you're in the music scene and you need help with marketing and promotion and so forth, we've got a lot of great services that we're offering on IPMNation.com. I don't talk enough about that, but definitely check out what we're doing, and maybe we can help you with what you're doing. And if you want to learn more about my other broadcasting and podcasting adventures, you can go to my website, mattconnerton.com. I will spell Connerton for you because people have trouble with it. It's CONNARTON. mattconnerton.com, and hit me up on there. I would love to hear from you. We're going to wrap up with one more track this week from the Faith Ann Band, and this is simply called 3 from her album Long Last. Here it is, 3 from the Faith Ann Band to close out this week's Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet.